Deep dive. Today we're peeling back the layers on something I think almost everyone has felt.
Hmm.
That intensely isolating experience when you reach out for help, for some kind of guidance, and what you get back is just silence.
Just a deafening quiet. It can be really, really destabilizing.
It really can. We've collected a whole stack of sources on this. Personal stories, psychological deep dives, spiritual texts, all wrestling with that idea of unanswered prayer.
And that's really our mission today, to unpack that feeling of praying and getting no sign, no feeling, just silence. We want to look at what the research and the stories suggest is actually happening in that space.
Exactly, because the core challenge, and it's right there in the materials, is the doubt that creeps in.
Right when you're most vulnerable.
Yeah. You ask yourself, sometimes I pray and I don't hear anything, so does God really listen? And we have to start there because that question, it changes everything.
It really does.
Yeah.
And if we just start with the most definitive answer from all this material, it's actually incredibly direct.
Which is?
Yes. God always listens. The certainty of listening is the foundation for everything else. But the challenge, as you said, is in the response.
That's the pivot point. If every prayer is heard, why does it so often feel like a total void? I mean, we expect a voice, right? Or at least some kind of obvious sign.
We're conditioned for that, for sure. And when that doesn't happen, our default is to think, well, I was ignored.
But this is where the material really asks us to sort of expand our definition of what an answer even is.
It's a total reframe. The sources suggest the communication isn't always meant for our ears. It's designed for our life, for our circumstances. The answer isn't always a sound.
It's a restructuring.
Exactly, a restructuring.
So we have to stop listening for something in the air and start looking for it in the reality unfolding around us. So let's get concrete. The analysis we looked at breaks it down into 4 specific, nonverbal forms that an answer can take.
Right, 4 ways that go beyond just hearing a voice from on high.
So what are they? How do they actually work?
Well, the first 2 are often the ones we might notice, but maybe dismiss. The first is a moment. Just a perfectly timed intervention that completely shifts a situation.
Okay, a moment.
And the second is a person. Someone just shows up completely out of the blue with the exact thing you need. A word, a tool, just kindness.
Right, and those 2, a moment and a person, those are the things we usually chalk up to luck or coincidence.
Almost always.
Yeah.
They're the small miracles you can still see externally, but the other 2 are much, much harder to deal with.
Because they require patience and pain sometimes?
They absolutely do. The third one is a change inside of you. And this is probably the hardest answer to get when what you really want is for something on the outside to change.
You want the job or the cure.
Exactly. You want the storm to stop.
Yeah.
But instead, the answer shows up as, is more resilience or a new clarity that lets you endure the very thing you prayed to escape. You basically receive the strength to sail through the storm.
That's a massive shift in expectation. It's saying the answer isn't the solution, it's making you the solution. That is, wow, that's a tough one to appreciate when you're in the middle of a crisis.
It is, because it demands a kind of maturity. And that leads right into the fourth one, a door that opens later.
The delayed answer.
The delayed answer. The sources suggest that sometimes the conditions just aren't right yet. The timing, the location, maybe even you.
Yeah.
You're not ready. The silence is often the sound of something really complex being built in the background.
So it's an acknowledgement that life is complicated. Complex problems don't just get simple, instant fixes.
Exactly. Think about it. If you pray for a huge career change, that can't just happen overnight. It's a chain reaction, right? You need a skill, a contact, an opening.
And you need to be ready to actually step into it.
That's the most important part. And the silent period, according to the material, is when all those different pieces are being moved into place.
Okay, so this framework gives us a map of where to look. We have the moment, the person, the internal change, and the delayed door.
To make this less abstract, let's turn to that story from the sources, the story of Daniel. It just perfectly illustrates how those first 2, the moment and the person, can collide.
And it's such an important story because it tracks the emotional journey of someone who felt truly, completely forgotten.
So Daniel is 27. He's a delivery driver. And the sources make a point of saying he wasn't, a religious guy. He had this distant belief that God was real.
But not for him.
Not for him.
What?
He believed God was just too busy with, and this is a quote, more important people.
And that idea that there's a hierarchy of who gets listened to that stops so many people from even asking in the first place.
But Daniel's crisis wasn't small. It was a total life collapse. The sources list 4 specific things that all hit him at once.
It was a perfect storm.
It was. He lost his main job contract, his girlfriend left him, he was about to be evicted, and all of that together it crushed his hope.
When you lose all the pillars of your life at once, money, love, home, that's when you hit existential despair. You can't see a future. And that's the moment. That's where the prayer happens. And it wasn't in a church. He was alone in his car in this huge empty parking lot behind a supermarket.
Anonymous.
Totally anonymous. And the sources describe it so vividly. It's dark, and rain is hitting the windshield like little stones, just hammering home the pain of it all.
He's cornered.
Completely. And he puts his forehead on the steering wheel, and he doesn't shout or anything. He just whispers. The most honest prayer I think I've ever read.
God, if you're real, just say something. I'm tired.
That's it. Just, I'm tired.
He was asking for proof of attention.
And what was the immediate response, according to the story?
Nothing. Complete, total silence. He just sat there and cried until his chest physically hurt, feeling like that quiet just confirmed his worst fear.
That he was invisible, forgotten.
Exactly. So he decides to just leave, to drive home and just deal with being hopeless. He turns the key to escape, and the car just clicks. Dead battery.
Wow.
His attempt to even run away from that moment of despair is blocked by this, totally mundane piece of bad luck, which is fascinating. His physical ability to leave is gone, which forces him to stay right there in the exact spot where he just cried out. That forced stillness creates the moment.
The necessary moment, because 10 minutes later, there's a tap on his window. It's a man, a local mechanic, who was closing up his shop.
And he was just passing by.
He was just passing by, but, and the sources stressed this, the mechanic said this was something he never does. He never takes that route home.
So there it is. The person and the moment perfectly intertwined. The dead battery was the prerequisite for the intervention.
Right, so the mechanic jumpstarts the car, he solves the practical problem, but the real answer, the existential one, comes next.
It's the final exchange.
It is. After he's done with the cables, the mechanic looks right at Daniel, who hasn't said a word about why he was crying, and he delivers this message almost word for word.
I don't know why, but I feel like telling you this.
Yeah.
God hasn't forgotten you. This is not the end of your story.
And Daniel's reaction to that is everything, because he hadn't told anyone that he felt forgotten. No one. That prayer was a whisper into a steering wheel.
So for a total stranger to deliver the exact counter-argument to his most private, silent fear.
That's the proof.
That's the proof.
But I do have to push back a little here, because you know what the skeptic would say. Anyone hearing this, their first thought is going to be confirmation bias.
Sure. He's in a bad spot, a lucky thing happens, and he assigns it divine meaning. How do the sources distinguish this from just chance?
Exactly.
And that's the critical question. The sources really focus on the specificity of the communication. Think about it. If the mechanic had only jump-started the car, that's just a lucky break. You'd thank him and drive off.
Right, it's just practical help.
But he delivered the exact tailored message that answered the invisible prayer, the fear of being forgotten. That incredible synchronicity, delivered by a stranger taking a route he never takes, is what the material defines as confirmation. It answered the unspoken part.
So the message matched the silent despair. That's why his tears, as the material says, shifted from pain to this feeling of certainty. He knew he'd been heard.
Which brings us right back to that core insight from the analysis. The answer wasn't a voice, it was a moment. God didn't speak into his ears, he spoke into his life.
Yeah.
He rearranged the circumstances to deliver what he needed.
That's a powerful idea. But it really only covers those first two kinds of answers, the moment and the person. What about the listeners who are experiencing that other kind of silence, the persistent, grinding lack of any change at all?
The sustained silence.
Yeah. The people waiting for that door to open later or for that change inside them.
And we have to spend time there because that is by far the most common experience. For those people, the material points to this being a preparation phase.
Okay, so let's break that down. The internal change. Why would the answer be a change inside you when you're praying for a change outside of you?
Because the sources suggest that sometimes the external thing you want would actually be bad for you in the long run. It would hurt your growth. If you pray for an easy path, but you get strength instead, that strength is the more valuable answer.
So the silence forces you to develop a resilience you didn't even know you had.
Precisely. You come out of that quiet period not just with your problem solved, but with you developed. You're a stronger person.
It's the difference between comfort and growth. But that is a painful transition.
It's so painful, and that pain connects right to the other one, the door that opens later. When an answer is delayed,